Joining us now to talk more about this is Pan-African analyst, Advocate Sipho Mantula. Advocate, good evening. Good to have you with us tonight. 14 men going on trial accused of complicity in the murder of a man known, I'm sure, to you and to many as well as Africa's Che Guevara. Who would want this charismatic Pan-Africanist dead at such a young age of 37?
Jumbo Africa, Thabo, even to the viewers, that is quite true to be saying that who has given those orders, who have wanted to interrupt, obstruct the life of the son of the fertile soil. As we are sons and daughters of Sankara this week, we are all aware that, Thabo, 72 hours from now, it will be that sad day that happened on the 15th of October. But one will understand that foreign powers, actually, they are implicated, and some of the African countries, despite that there is no ample evidence that can connect some of those African countries, and one of them becomes Ivory Coast, where Blaise Compadre is currently staying, has been given citizenship. But look at this Pan-African icon, Sankara, his views, and I think from your insight earlier, it has given us at least the foreground and the background of who was Thomas Sankara. But at the same time, this long journey of searching for the truth by the families of Sankara and his comrades who were killed on that day, it is still something that has been going on for long, and that is the price of what we can say truth and reconciliation takes time.
Now, you speak of Blaise Compadre, who was friends with Thomas Sankara 4 years before this assassination. The pair staged a takeover, which saw Sankara become president. Now, how ironic that he is now one of those who need to face this trial, even though he's boycotting the trial at this particular point, but he's among the 14 who are to stand trial.
Correctly, Thabo, and one thing that is said about Blaise Compadre, he was not only the friend, but the father and the parents of Sankara took him as one of their own sons. Hence, even after the killing of Sankara, one of their close friends, Pascal, was saying that the parents of Sankara kept on asking Pascal that where is Blaise Compadre to come and explain to us what happened on that sad and eventful day. But if you look back at how Blaise Compadre since 1987 to 1997 prevented the family to pursue this inquest, to pursue this inquiry, as they were saying that it was a political assassination. Hence, we are finding ourselves in this political and military tribunal that is going on. And a sad thing again about Compadre, it is that there's an allegation that that command came from his compound on that night. And that's how he has been linked. And secondly, on your insight, they were talking about the 20,000 files. France, it is still not giving us all the classified information because there is a link that has been said that some of the French agents were seen in Ouagadougou on the 16th of October, a day after the assassination of Sankara. And that's how one can look at how in one of the quotes of Robert Nesta Marley, he will always say, your best friend can be your worst enemy.
Yeah. And of course, you mentioned this already. He's in exile in Ivory Coast at the moment, ironically enough, because he himself was forced to resign during a mass protest in 2014.
Correctly, but again, remember that he was a mediator in the conflict in Ivory Coast in 2010, when the then President Thabo Mbeki was told that you don't understand the French dynamics or politics. Then came Blaise Compadre, as he was termed the father of West Africa mediation. And at the same time, I don't think Ivory Coast it is doing any justice, or they are very fair to this process, because even the wife of Sankara, Mariam Sankara, who was attending this trial, raised that issue that those who have went exiled and those who are implicated in this case, they should think twice and come back and explain to the country and to the continent what happened. Remember, Thabo, we are not looking at one fugitive here. We are talking of two fugitives. There is Kafando, who disappeared in 2015, and that chap is the guy who is allegedly was working closely with Blaise Compadre on that command.
Now, of course, as you're hearing there in that insert, I mean, Thomas Sankara attributed, for example, with living really an austere lifestyle. He reduced his own salary, reduced the salary of public servants. He banned the use of government chauffeurs and first-class air tickets. He prioritized education while he was in power. The literacy rate said to have increased from 13% to 73% in 1987. Massive, massive kind of campaigns that he ran. Yet, there are some who are still critical of Sankara, some criticizing his radical left-wing policies, saying they were draconian and maybe someone breaking human rights laws.
So in any instance, there's no leader who's perfect. Every leader strives to be perfect. And if you look at the fellas who was ruffling, both within the party, within the state, by putting what we call in economic terms austerity measures, that was relevant for the people of Burkina Faso. And secondly, you will find that the interest of the foreign handlers, the handlers that were using the internal handlers, were making sure that Sankara's philosophy, his principle, as the Africa's Che Guevara, he was very clear that the issue of the foreign aid, the issue of the foreign debt, that most of the African countries, when they came out of independence, dependence syndrome, were still caught up. Hence, when he went to the OAU meeting in 1986, he raised those issues very pertinently and potently to be saying that African countries cannot still be paying this foreign debt when actually the Western powers are the ones benefiting. And like I'm saying, Thabo, those who are writing the script of our heroes and heroines, they have a double agenda always to make us feel that our freedom fighters, our heroes and heroines were even villains or they were not heroes. And that's how we see with the case study of Robert Waka Mugabe, we see with the case of many African leaders, Lumumba, we saw even with the cases of how Sankara was treated, even when the French government did not want to accept him, when he was telling them that we can no longer afford to be funded by you. Hence, when you were raising those developmental areas he was able to bring in his country, they were a milestone within a space of 4 years. Many African countries, they've been independent since 1960, but they've not done anything. What we see is opulence and we see corruption at its highest level.
What will be the impact of this trial? There are those who are concerned, who have raised fears that the trial could already destabilize Burkina Faso, which is, as we speak, already grappling with frequent attacks from jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State groups.
Correctly, Thabo, the Sahel region, it is the hot potato or the hot zone. But remember that when President Kabore came into power between 2016 and 2017, they initiated a ministry of reconciliation. So I'm looking at that area that you are raising, and I say the counter for it is that Burkina Faso, through this trial, they are able to move towards the path of reconciliation. But you cannot move towards that path of reconciliation without establishing the truth, without establishing the principles of justice. And that's how I've said in some other media platforms that the issue of the TRC process of Burkina Faso, it's similar what we are seeing in the Gambia, Banjul, is what we saw in this country, despite that we know that the truth and reconciliation process, you'll always be having casualties, you'll always be having renegades and fugitives who runs away to come and stand the trial. So this trial, Thabo, it is very important, despite that it has taken 3 decades, but the memory, the power, and the thinking of the family of Sankara and other families and the young people of Burkina Faso, they will want to see at least justice being seen and not be done only.
No, absolutely, and we hope this will mark an end to all the cover-up and certainly the truth coming to the fore. Advocate, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us tonight on In Focus. That's Pan-African analyst there, Advocate Sipho Mantula, outlining for us the importance of this trial in finding the truth on who killed Thomas Sankara.